My wife emptied our bank account, texted me, "I'm leaving you. Good luck surviving," and within an hour she was begging me to answer her calls. You see, what she didn't realize is that she had just stolen $80,000 from herself. And the best part, I knew this would happen 8 months ago, but I kept my mouth shut and watched her dig her own grave. Let me paint you the picture. Thursday afternoon, I'm sitting at my desk job when my phone buzzes. The message from my wife, Chloe, reads, "Just emptied our account. I'm leaving you for someone who actually has ambition. Good luck surviving without me. Already filed for divorce. Don't try to find me." I stared at the screen, logged into our banking app, and sure enough, our household account showed a previous balance of $80,000. Now at zero, here's where this gets delicious. When we moved in together 4 years ago, Chloe insisted on handling all our finances. She worked at a bank and claimed she knew all the tricks for maximizing interest and getting the best accounts. Young and in love, I agreed. She set up what she called our household account and added me as an authorized user, claiming it was better than a regular joint account for tax purposes. Every month, I'd transfer my portion to her. She'd handle the bills. Everything worked fine. But 8 months ago, after Chloe kept calling me financially illiterate, I decided to educate myself about our finances. I noticed some weird terms on a bank statement, did some Googling, and called the bank pretending to be confused about our account type. The representative explained something that made my blood run cold, then hot with anticipation. This wasn't a joint checking account at all. Chloe had opened a business line of credit in her name only as the sole proprietor of her consulting business that never took off. I was just an authorized user, meaning I wasn't liable for any debts. Only Chloe, the account owner, was responsible for repayment. I kept my mouth shut, kept transferring my half every month like nothing had changed. But I also quietly opened my own personal checking account and started building an emergency fund, just in case. So when I saw that text message, after the initial shock wore off, I actually laughed out loud. She had just stolen $80,000 from herself, from a credit line she'd have to pay back with interest. I texted back 2 simple words, "You too." Then I waited. It took exactly 73 minutes for my phone to start exploding. First, Chloe calling, declined. Unknown number, probably her mom, declined. Another call from Chloe, declined. Then the texts started flooding in. "What did you do? The bank says I owe them money. This is your debt, too. Answer your phone." I screenshot everything, then blocked her number. 20 minutes later, her sister Meredith called. I actually liked Meredith, so I answered. "Theo, what's happening?" Chloe's hysterical. "Something about the bank calling about massive debt." "Meredith," I said calmly, "your sister just drained what she thought was our joint account and sent me a text saying she's leaving me. Turns out it wasn't a joint account. It's a business credit line in her name." Long pause. She stole money from a credit line. Technically, she borrowed it from herself. And now she owes the bank $80,000 plus interest. "But that was your money too." "No, I was just an authorized user. I put money in monthly, which technically counted as payments toward the credit line, but the debt, that's all hers. You knew. Found out 8 months ago. Never thought she'd do something this stupid, though." Meredith went quiet for a moment. "Theo, she's with someone else." Has been for months. Some crypto guy named Blake she met at a conference. I wasn't surprised. I figured as much. You need to help her with this debt situation. Why would I do that? She just stole what she thought was my money and left me for another man because it's the right thing to do. The right thing. She literally tried to leave me with nothing. She thought I'd be broke and desperate. The only reason she's in trouble is because she didn't understand her own financial setup. I hung up. The entitlement that followed was astronomical. First, Chloe tried the legal route, having some bargain basement lawyer send me a letter demanding I pay half the debt since it was marital funds. My lawyer responded with a simple statement. I was an authorized user, not a cosigner. The debt predated our marriage since she opened the account before we wed. Not my problem. Then came the emotional manipulation through her parents. Her dad, Robert, actually showed up at my apartment building. The doorman called up. There's a Robert here to see you. Says it's urgent. I told them to say I wasn't available. I could hear Robert yelling from the lobby about man-to-man conversations and doing the honorable thing. Security eventually escorted him out. But here's where it gets really interesting. Remember Blake, the crypto guy? Meredith reached out again with some tea. Apparently, Chloe had told Blake she was getting at least $80,000 in the divorce, plus alimony, plus half my 401k. She'd been spinning this tale of being married to a tech executive who was loaded but cheap. Blake thought he was getting a sugar mama. When Chloe told him about the debt situation, he bounced, literally ghosted her within 24 hours. She tried to move into the apartment he'd been renting for them. Yeah, she'd already signed a lease with him. But surprise, he'd never actually put her name on it. The landlord wouldn't let her in without Blake's permission, and Blake had already told them she was no longer authorized. So now Chloe was homeless, $80,000 in debt, and single. Did I feel bad? For about 3 seconds. Then I remembered the good luck surviving text and went back to eating my cereal. But Chloe wasn't done. She created a whole victim narrative online, posting on social media about how her financially abusive ex-husband had tricked her into debt, how I'd manipulated the banking system to trap her. The problem was, she'd forgotten that several of our mutual friends worked in finance. Her former coworker from the bank, Jerome, actually commented, "Chloe, you literally worked in banking. You opened that account yourself. I remember you bragging about the rewards points." She deleted the post, but screenshots were already circulating. Then came the truly pathetic attempt. She reached out to my mom, trying to get her to convince me to help with the debt. My mom's response was legendary. She sent me the screenshot. Chloe had written, "Mrs. Davidson, Theo won't help me with this misunderstanding about our finances. As his mother, could you talk sense into him?" My mom replied, "The same sense you had when you were cheating on my son with that crypto fool. That kind of sense. Delete my number." But the peak entitlement came when I got a call from the bank. Not about the debt, but about Chloe trying to report the authorized user card as fraud. She claimed I'd somehow stolen from the credit line without her knowledge. The bank rep sounded tired. "Sir, we've reviewed the account history. Every transaction from your card was for regular household expenses, groceries, utilities, etc. Does she really want us to investigate this as fraud? What happens if you do?" Well, filing a false fraud report is a federal crime. And since she sent text messages admitting to taking the money, The rep trailed off. She withdrew $80,000 at once. How is that not flagged? Business credit lines have different rules. It was technically her available credit, but now she owes it back with interest. The rate is substantial. How substantial? 24.99% APR. I actually choked on my coffee. At that rate, if she only made minimum payments, she'd be paying forever. The spiral accelerated faster than I expected. Chloe's lawyer dropped her after she couldn't pay the retainer. She tried representing herself in our first divorce hearing, showing up in designer clothes, probably bought with the stolen money, demanding alimony because she was accustomed to a certain lifestyle. The judge looked at her financial records. He saw the $80,000 withdrawal. He saw her texts admitting to taking it. He saw that she'd been employed full-time until she quit 2 weeks prior, apparently thinking she wouldn't need to work after cleaning me out. Ma'am, the judge said, you withdrew $80,000 from a credit line, quit your job, and now want your ex-husband to support you. He tricked me. He knew it was a credit line. Did he force you to open the account? No. Did he force you to withdraw the money? No, but he should have told me. You set up the account. You managed it for years. You work in banking. Ignorance of your own financial instruments is not your ex-husband's responsibility. Zero alimony. In fact, she owed me money because she drained accounts that had marital funds in them, but Chloe's entitlement went nuclear. She started calling my employer daily, claiming I'd stolen from her, that I was dangerous, that they should be aware they employed a financial predator. HR pulled me in for a meeting. I explained the situation, showed them the divorce papers, her texts, everything. They were sympathetic, but said the calls were disruptive. That's when I played my ace. I'd been recording everything legal in my state with one-party consent, including a voicemail, where Chloe explicitly said, I'm going to call your job every day until you pay my debt. I'll make up whatever I need to. They'll fire you eventually. HR's face went pale. Legal got involved. They sent Chloe a cease and desist. She violated it within 48 hours. My company pressed charges for harassment. The bank started collection proceedings. Chloe missed her first payment because she'd blown through most of the $80,000 already. How? According to Meredith, designer shopping spree, $15,000. Deposit on a luxury apartment she couldn't actually afford, 8. New car, down payment, $10,000, though she couldn't get approved for the loan. Cosmetic procedures she'd been wanting. The rest went to hotels and investing in Blake's crypto scheme. When the bank started calling about missed payments, she tried to negotiate, claiming financial hardship. They asked for proof of income. She had none. She'd quit her job, remember. They accelerated the debt. Full $80,000 plus accumulated interest due immediately. Chloe's solution. She tried to get Robert to co-sign a consolidation loan. He refused. She tried. Her mom also refused. Even Meredith said no. Then she hit absolute rock bottom of shamelessness. She started a crowdfunding campaign to help a domestic abuse survivor recover from financial exploitation. I kid you not. The campaign included photos of her crying, a completely fabricated story about how I'd manipulated her into debt through complex financial schemes, and a request for $100,000 to rebuild her life. It raised $37 in 3 days. Someone donated $2 with the comment, Lol. Meredith sent me screenshots of Chloe melting down in their family group chat, demanding everyone share the campaign, calling them unsupportive when they refused. Her own aunt responded, "Chloe, everyone knows what you did. Stop embarrassing yourself." The legal consequences started hitting hard. Remember the harassment charges. Chloe got arrested at her parents' house. Robert had to bail her out. The conditions included no contact with me or my employer. She violated those conditions within a week by creating fake email accounts to send anonymous tips to my company about my criminal behavior. They traced them back to her IP address, back to jail. This time, Robert didn't bail her out immediately. He let her sit for 48 hours to think about her choices. Meanwhile, the divorce was finalized. She got her personal belongings and her car that she was making payments on. Instead of 50% of the marital assets, she got 40%. The judge factored in the $80,000 she took. I kept the apartment since it was mine before marriage. My 401k was protected. She had to pay the $80,000 credit line debt. My legal fees, the judge ruled her behavior was malicious, and court costs. The total she owed between the bank and legal fees was about $95,000. Her solution was spectacular in its stupidity. She tried to declare bankruptcy, but first transferred some assets to her parents to hide them. The bankruptcy trustee found out. Of course they did. It's their job. That's bankruptcy fraud, a federal crime. She panicked and withdrew the bankruptcy petition. But now she was under investigation. During all this, she was still living with Robert and her mom. From what Meredith told me, it was rough. Chloe expected to be treated like a victim. Instead, her parents made her get a job. She was working retail, paying rent, doing chores, and attending financial literacy classes. The irony was delicious. She lasted 2 weeks before having a meltdown about how everyone was punishing her for falling in love with Blake, who hadn't contacted her since disappearing. Then came the last desperate play. She reached out to my ex-girlfriend from college, Amber, on social media, tried to convince her that I was some kind of financial mastermind who'd conned them both, wanted to team up to expose me. Amber's response was perfect. She sent me the screenshots. "Chloe, I dated Theo for 2 years. He's literally the most straightforward person I know. We broke up because we wanted different things, not because he's some evil genius. Also, girl, you stole $80,000 and got caught. Take the L and move on." But my absolute favorite part, last week I ran into Blake at a coffee shop. He tried to avoid me, but we ended up in line together. "How's the crypto going?" I asked. He looked embarrassed. "Look, man, I didn't know she was married at first. Don't care. But I am curious. Did she ever invest in your scheme?" "Yeah, about 15,000. How'd that work out?" "The coin crashed. It's worth maybe 300 now." I actually laughed out loud in the coffee shop. The conclusion is both pathetic and predictable. Chloe's debt to the bank went to collections. Her credit score is destroyed. She'll be dealing with this for the next decade minimum. The harassment charges resulted in 18 months probation and mandatory anger management classes. She has a criminal record now. Her job at the retail store lasted 6 weeks. She got fired for berating a customer who she claimed looked at her judgmentally. Now, she's working at a call center. Ironically, doing collections. She tried one more Hail Mary. Reached out to me through a mutual friend, asking if we could start over. Said she'd learned her lesson, and Blake meant nothing. My response, through the friend. Tell her, I said, good luck surviving. The mutual friend later told me Chloe went ballistic, screaming about how I'd ruined her life and set her up. Robert finally kicked her out after she tried to steal checks from his checkbook. She's now living with a cousin who charges her market rate rent and requires first and last month upfront. Meredith and I actually still talk occasionally. She told me Chloe recently said at a family dinner that she was the victim of a sophisticated financial conspiracy, and that I'd probably been planning this for years. Her uncle, who's an accountant, responded, Chloe, you opened a credit line, forgot it was a credit line, stole from it, and got caught. The only conspiracy here is how you graduated from college. As for me, I'm doing fine. I kept my job, my apartment, my retirement savings. I started dating Jade, a woman from my rock climbing gym who actually understands how bank accounts work. The $80,000 Chloe stole, well, technically, she stole it from herself. I'd only contributed about $20,000 of that over the years in monthly payments. The bank considered those legitimate payments toward the credit line. So really, she played herself. Last I heard through the grapevine, she's in debt for the next 15 years, living paycheck to paycheck. Blake is being investigated by the SEC for his crypto scheme. Her parents barely speak to her. She's banned from 3 local banks for aggressive behavior. But she still posts vague quotes about surviving betrayal on social media. The moral of the story: if you're going to drain a joint account and leave your partner with a good luck surviving message, maybe make sure you actually understand what kind of account it is first. And definitely make sure it's not a credit line in your name only, because it turns out karma doesn't need my help. Sometimes idiots destroy themselves with their own entitlement. Good luck surviving. Chloe, you're going to need it for the next 15 years of monthly payments. Subscribe my channel and click on bell icon